Alrighty, welcome everybody. This is gonna be the first Skyrim series on my channel. Wow, I fucking whistled. This is gonna be my first Skyrim series on this channel. I know it's new, but you know, with the release of Starfield and realizing that it's honestly not even that good of a game, I sort of just had to revisit Skyrim, get that experience back. And coming back to Skyrim, I realized just how miserably most of the cities in this game are planned. Like it's honestly kind of inexcusable. Like, I mean, you'll see coming up. I mean, it's honestly kind of baffling. Like, I'm flabbergasted about just who decided to okay some of these city designs. But you know, that's we'll get into it. In order to rate these cities, I decided to draft up a nice little rating requirement out of 10. Um, there's going to be a bunch of different little bullet points. I'm going to have them on the screen here of what they are, what the sort of point is, and how many points they get to to the sort of grand total. That's how we're going to be rating these cities, and I'm going to try to hit each point on each city in Skyrim. Alrighty, first city we're going to be doing is Whiterun, the first city that the player ends up going to, and honestly it's one of my favorites. I think it's probably a lot of people's favorites as well. I mean, it's just all around a nice city to go to. But without, let's not take a break or anything. Let's just get straight into it. So the first point on this list, worth 1 point, is going to be, is Whiterun district correctly? And to give an example of what that means, it's that is the housing and the shopping area, is that like properly separated? In general, we're looking for a pretty clear separation between um, businesses and housing. So yeah, let's start looking. So in this first little area here, immediately we're seeing, some blacksmiths. We got the tavern over there, you got the Bannered Mare, main sort of tavern, and you got a little town center slash business area. Looking pretty good. There is a few homes up here. Like, I think this is a home if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there's a home here, and there's two homes down over there, but I mean, it's pretty separate. I'd say they do a pretty good job of separating, especially when we head up to the sort of second tier of Whiterun, which is basically exclusively housing. It is kind of clan housing though, so it is a little bit different, but I think it still applies, it applies correctly, because I'd say the majority of people live up here, just because the clan houses are pretty massive. There is still a pretty good amount of people living down there, but I think it's pretty balanced. I'd say they would get the point for their districting. I mean, it's definitely pretty clear cut. I mean, there really isn't any businesses at all up here, so it's pretty clear that they wanted to separate the two, which is good. They get the point for that. Next up, we have, for 1 point, we're going to be going over the walkways. This is a pretty big one. I feel like walkways are often overlooked in Skyrim, but I think it really sort of gives you a good look into how a city is, how it feels. And Whiterun overall, I mean, they have pretty nice walkways. Now, I am using mods here, so it is going to be looking a bit different. It's going to be looking nicer than it may look in-game, but I feel like, it gives it a bit more of a realistic look. But, I mean, the walkways, they look good. They're not amazing, but they are pretty defined. They're well maintained. I will give it that, especially for a medieval city. I mean, it's not a lot of places have these nice stone walkways. I mean, they're even all the way back here. So, I mean, I definitely, it's kind of a no-brainer here. We're gonna give them the point here. Alright, so next one up here is, for 1 point, has a room to grow. Now, this is an interesting one, because not many cities in this game have this point. And actually, let me quickly go into free cam here, and we'll get an aerial view. So, looking up from above here, you can sort of realize that when you're looking down at the homes, there really isn't much extra space. There really isn't much extra space. It's pretty cluttered, and it's basically almost completely full. Really, only the extra space outside of the city which isn't really that useful because, you know, it's not inside the city, so it doesn't really count. So unfortunately, Whiterun is not going to be able to get the point for this, which, I mean, most cities aren't. This is kind of the main thing that's holding cities back from getting a perfect 10 out of 10 rating. Um, they really would have to go through an endeavor in order to expand. Like, as they would have to knock out a wall or two. Next up on the list is going to be, for 2 points here, this is a big one, has basic amenities. And now, these basic amenities, I mainly am saying are wells. And obviously we can see one right here, so a point is going to kind of automatically be given here. Even though, you know, that upper area doesn't exactly have the best access to it. I think Whiterun even has 2 wells, if I'm not mistaken. I think yeah, there's one over here too. Not sure why there's 2, like, 20 feet away from each other, but, you know, I mean, the more the merrier, I guess. It's not the world, you know, you get your bucket and just kind of throw that in there. Oh, I just missed that one. Oh, okay, yeah, that's pretty cool. Now the only issue that I have with this, and I'm going to be giving Whiterun the 2 points for this, but in the upper area up here, let's get up here really quickly. In this upper area, there is no wells. Now it's not really the end of the world, because, I mean, hey, I guess they can just walk down, like, you know, take a minute to walk down there, but it is definitely kind of unfortunate, because this is like the kind of residential edged area, or so it seems. They kind of just have this little river here, which may be a sewage sort of thing. I don't know if this is drinkable, so that's the only issue I have, but I'm still going to give Whiterun the point for this basic amenities. You know, they have the wells. They might not be placed amazingly, but in the end they have them, so yeah, 2 points going there. Alright, next up we're going to be going for 2 points. No ruined or dilapidated buildings and or structures, which I guess mean the same thing. Yeah, so no ruined buildings here is a huge one. It really shows just how much a city is maintained and how well it's planned. Because a city that isn't going to be planned at all is going to have it's just going to have ruined buildings everywhere. It's just not gonna, it's just going to be a sight for sore eyes, you know, like I think I don't think that's how you're supposed to use that word, but you get what I mean. It sucks. And Whiterun, luckily, does not have any. I mean, the closest thing they have is maybe this dude's house here. I think this is that one, like, homeless dude's house. I mean, it kind of looks a little bit shitty. But I mean, it's still a home that, like, works, so, yeah. They're gonna get the 2 points for this. It's a big 2-pointer. Alright, next up on the list is gonna be, for 1 point, that the city is just sort of clean, and it's just safe, you know? That's a big one. Clean kind of taking the cake over that, because, you know, a city being sanitary kind of shows you how much planning they're putting into it. Like, if they have, you know, actually have people sort of, you know, out there working to keep it clean, and I'd say Whiterun does a pretty good job at that. I mean, there really isn't much just dirt and grime around here. Like, you're not going to be finding a dead body or anything. Like, you're pretty good. I mean, there's the occasional homeless man, but I mean, hey, he's chill, you know? Nothing too big, nothing nobody can handle in here, so, yeah, getting the point for that. And then lastly, pretty no-brainer, city is just easily accessible, and easy to navigate, and I think Whiterun gets this. Alrighty, so to end this off, and, you know, tally up all of our, you know, points over the board, we come down to a very solid 9 out of 10 for Whiterun. I mean, they basically hit every point on the head besides the, you know, room to grow, which, again, very few cities are actually gonna, you know, be able to hit that point. But yeah, 9 out of 10. I think this is a pretty reasonable rating for Whiterun. I mean, it's a nice city. I don't think there's many glaring issues with it. You know, to come, this is definitely one of the better cities in Skyrim. I'll tell you that much right now. It really doesn't get much better than this. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and, you know, part 2 is going to be coming out soon. Get ready to hit that, so yeah, see ya.